Okay, I am pleased to have a repeat performer. So we had Jason Jameson here, and Jason presented. Was it last year or 2 years ago? It was last year. Time flies. Jason presented at AMMCon last year, and his work was so well received that we were like, we want more. So Jason has worked in the IT industry for over 20 years, and he recently went back to school to study AI and machine learning, where the robots take over the world. Um, are they going to do that? They probably are. Okay. He enjoys learning and teaching new technologies. So firearms have become a big part of his life when he married Cassie Todd Jameson. And there's a little bit of guns in their family bloodstream right now. That's kind of how that happens. There is that. Well, we all know the famous Danny Todd is now his father-in-law. So Jason is here to teach us about machine learning and AI and the things that we do. So join me in welcoming Jason Jameson.
Well, thank you for having me back. Really appreciate it. It's great to talk to you about some of the things that I know, some of the things that I deal with every day in my IT career. Last year, I kind of scared everybody half to death with AI, just pointing out all the dangers, all the scary things that are in the works and coming. And all that is still very true. Definitely want to be very careful with AI and how you use it. But this year, I wanted to talk a little bit about ways you can use it. And so we'll kind of dig into what you can do with AI, where it might be able to help you out in your daily life. Um, but take everything I say with a grain of salt because it is AI, it is a new technology, it is prone to making mistakes, as we all probably are aware. And so I'm going to try to go through this presentation. If you have questions, I'm happy to take them, but uh, I want to try to get enough time at the end for people to ask things because last time we had a lot of questions, and so I want to make sure we get through the presentation so that you can ask that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to jump on in. And again, if you have something that you want to say, let me know. Um, so as far as going through just what you can use AI for, and some of these you may already know, some of these may be completely new ideas to you. But content creation and the curation of content is a really good tool that you can use AI for. So AI tools like ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, you can use those to kind of generate articles, reports, do some creative writing. And the way that I personally use this aspect is just to get like a quick idea out there. It's almost like a brainstorm, but maybe like a next level brainstorm. So as much detail as you can provide in your prompt, the better results you're going to get. And so just real quick, I've got examples on here. So I said create a short 2-paragraph article about the dangers of red flag gun laws in 2024, and it posted up a whole 2-paragraph deal um, with different things. So again, this is a good start. So if I'm writing this article, I might start here. You can tweak it, So one cool thing with AI is you can go in there and then edit your response and say, okay, take this article, let's make it a little bit more pro 2A, or let's add this piece of information into the article. So you can play around with it a lot, and it's a good place to work a little bit and get some ideas that you might want to actually use when you're writing an article. Another thing that's really interesting and cool is content curation. So rather than just doing a Google search, AI algorithms can go through a bunch of information and data and draw that out for you to easily obtain and use. So like right there, I wrote about tell me about the gun laws around the world and what countries are allowing people to own firearms. So it listed out, I mean, I had to break it up, but went through all the major countries, just quick little highlights about them. You could then say, okay, give me more detail about Canada gun laws, and it'll give you that information as well. So that's a really good way to sift through things. And again, we are talking AI, so you have to double check your resources. You always want to make sure that what it's telling you is the truth. You can't just depend on it to be factual, but it can give you a really good way to go through a bunch of stuff, narrow down your search, and then you'd go and do the fact checking on your own. But really good time saving tools there. Uh, Now, this is my personal favorite, and it might be something that a lot of you may not even think about using AI for, but it could really help out a lot. And that is workflow automation. So, with your tasks and task management, AI can really help you schedule, give you reminders, prioritize different tasks. Um, and the cool thing about this is there's no like fake information for it to give you. It's really just based off of your schedule. So a lot more likely to give you good results that you want. So the example that I posted up there is just schedule my week so that I could write this presentation. So, I gave it a little bit of a timeline that I was looking at, some of the points that I wanted to make sure that I worked on, and I just said, okay, give me a week schedule. And so it scheduled me up, okay, let's work on September 16th from 2 to 5, you can do this. From 6 to 8, do this. And then it breaks it all out for you. So if you have a hard time keeping your schedule or you want to make sure you get something done, you can definitely use AI to kind of schedule your day and make sure that you're getting the most out of what you're doing. So really good, helpful tool that you can absolutely use in your day-to-day life. Another thing that I think is really cool is resource allocation. So let's say it's you and a team of people and you're wanting to talk about an event, and so you're not exactly sure how you want to assign the people, where you want to assign them. And this works really well if you have as much detail as possible about the event and the people that you're wanting to send to it. um, and again, you just write out the prompt of what you want it to do. So for this example, I said, hey, there's this convention, I've got this team of, I think it's 3 people. uh, I've got a camera person, I've got some writers, there's some dinner events that I want covered. Tell me how to like get this scheduled up? And it gave me a whole presentation on what to do, who to send where, day to day. You can tweak that as needed. And the more detail you give it about the people, the events, and what's important, the better it's going to provide you those results. So instead of sitting down at a calendar and assigning things, you can quickly get an outline and then just fine tune it as needed. So those are 2 things that I think you could actually start using today if you really wanted to. This one, and it kind of goes to my first slide, but it's kind of a next level. So this is more creativity, innovation, so brainstorming and ideas. So my first one was more like, give me an article and give me some writing prompts and things. This one's more, what should I write about? Here's a topic that I'm interested in. I want to write an article about fill in the blank. So I did Second Amendment stories that are relevant for the upcoming presidential election. So give me 3 articles, and I want to focus on audiences that may not get this information very often. And it gave me 3 ideas for articles that I could start working up. So gives you some examples about like the angle that you might want to go at, why it's unique. And again, you can fine tune these, but it can really help you, think up different and unique ideas that you may not come up with on your own. Um, so I thought that was really, really interesting. And then content augmentation. So you can take your data, you can take your stories, and you can get some other additional like graphs or things built into it. Now, this one I would say be very, very careful with, because that picture right there, you can definitely tell is AI if you look closely enough. There's weird little writing things, there's inconsistencies, and you're going to find that a lot. So I don't really recommend using it like in your article, but it can help get like some ideas of maybe some shots that you want to try to go for. So if you say, write up what you're looking for, and hey, I want to change the camera angle so it's like facing down, or you can try to mess around with that so that when you're there and you've got your camera, you can just get the shots that you're looking for. Another thing that it's good for is coming up with like logos, very simple, quick logos. I've used that quite a bit in some of the things that I've worked on. So I think for that, you probably could use it, but be very careful with images. A lot of people are going to tell that it's AI, and we talked earlier about the dangers of people using AI and getting caught in it. It's just a really messy thing that people in general are not going to like if they find out. And if you do use it, I would highly recommend saying, "Hey, this is an AI image" at some point in your article. But it can help with time saving and different ideas to keep creative. I wanted to show you how much AI is actually being used specifically in the media today. This is not a new thing. It is a newer technology, but media has seemed to really latch onto it and taken advantage of it in pretty big ways. So I've got three examples that I researched and found. So the first is that the Washington Post has something called Heliograph, and it automatically generates news content for them. It was launched in 2016, so this is a pretty old piece of technology. They've been using it to cover the Rio Olympics at the start, so just short little reports on medal results, perfect for AI. You know, there's the details are there. They don't have to worry too much about fact checking. So that's really what the test base started with. So generate a short report for live blogs, social media, Alexa, and it published 850 articles in its first year. And it covers a variety of topics: sports, election updates, local news. So anything that's just the facts. You know, I give you this detail, you give me a quick little summary story about it. So that's being used by the Washington Post from 2016. Bloomberg has a program called Cyborg, and that is used to analyze earning reports and generate headlines and summaries. So it's a very similar thing to the Washington Post, but they focus more on financial stories. Uh, so they didn't specify when it was launched, but it has been used for several years now. And so they extract details from financial data and then use that to develop different stories, different articles. And so the speed, accuracy of financial reporting, which is changing very quickly, they are able to get stories out like right away. And so this is one that I thought it was interesting because, you know, you don't want to put out incorrect information. So they do have human journalists working alongside to make sure that the numbers are correct, that the analyst is correct. So I think that's really where we are right now with a lot of the AI stuff is it will give you the details and the summaries very quickly, and then somebody needs to verify that that information is correct. And then the New York Times uses AI to work their subscription models. So the AI will look at the people that are reading the free content and determine how many free articles should we give this person before we start asking them to pay. And so it's looking at their behaviors, looking at what they're looking up, and using that information to try to get them to click that buy button on a subscription. And it's continuously being tested and improved. And it was, let's see, how long have they been doing that one? It didn't say when, but it has been, again, for several years. So these are just three quick examples of companies that everybody knows about that are actively and have been actively using AI for many years now. So definitely want to take advantage of your technology if you can. All right, so talking about the future, let's look current and ahead a little bit. So this year specifically, one thing that I think is very interesting is that AI is going to be in everything you do. If you touch a computer, if you touch a phone, coming up, you know, this year to next year, you are going to be interacting with AI. I pretty much guarantee it. So all the big tech companies are integrating AI into their apps and the websites that you access. So Microsoft Copilot, I don't know if anybody's seen that little logo pop up down on their computer screen, but that's built into Windows operating systems now, as long as you stay up to date. And it's just it's almost like Chat GPT. You can click on it and you can start typing all the different details that I gave you earlier. It's just Microsoft's version of it. It's also being integrated into Office. So when you're writing up a Word thing, you might see pop-ups like, hey, do you want me to take a look at this document you're writing and make some adjustments and changes? So that's just going to be more and more integrated with your applications in Microsoft. It's definitely something that they are focusing on right now. Um, Google's another one. So Google Gemini, that's their term. They've built it already into searches. So I'm not sure how often you do Google searches, but you might notice now underneath your search when you push enter, there's like a little window that's got that icon there, and it might give you some more details kind of in a grayed out area. And that's just giving you an automated AI response. And then it gives you the rest of your searches under that. But they're trying to build it in so that you're used to working with an AI and talking to it. It's also being integrated with Gmail, with their Office suite called Docs. So more and more of those integrations are going to be coming. And I think the idea is just to make it as seamless as possible. And then another big one that was announced with their new operating system is Apple Intelligence. So Apple's getting on board for that with their MacBooks, with their iPads, with their iPhones. And this upcoming iOS is going to have full AI integration with pretty much everything you do. Um, so that's going to be looking at your contact list, your calendar entries, all of those things will be integrated into AI. And one of the big things that they talk about is security, and you can trust them or not trust them with that. But they say, yeah, we don't even have any access to this information. It's all going to be locally stored. So, yeah, not just something to be aware of. And then I wanted to give you some specific firearm examples. Uh, so smart firearms, that's something that already does exist, but with the integration of AI technology could become even more and more, smarter. So instead of just using like a fingerprint, it could use full, things about the way you hold the gun or all that kind of stuff to make sure that only the person that's supposed to be firing it could fire it. So I could see that definitely being a thing. Um, this one I think is interesting, predictive maintenance. So I don't know if we're talking about something built into the firearm or if we're just talking about an app where you like kind of scan the phone or you scan the gun and it tells you, hey, you might need to do this to it to maintain it. So those kind of things I could definitely see being a quick, easy fix type thing. Training and simulation, we already have a lot of really cool training stuff, but with the incorporation of AI into it, it can react to you. So if you're just a really new person trying to just figure out what you're doing, it could give you a super easy type training experience versus a hardened professional. They're going to get, all sorts of different things thrown at them just because of how they react. So I think that's a really cool thing that military and law enforcement absolutely use today. And then target recognition. So if the thing you're pointing the gun at isn't what you're supposed to be pointing it at, it may not fire. And I don't know if that's something that exists now or will exist, but definitely a place that AI could be incorporated. All right, and so we'll talk a little bit about a couple dangers, especially this top one that I encountered when I was writing this article. So ChatGPT refused to generate an image that was related to firearms when I was working on the presentation. So that little example picture that I put up, I had a lot of trouble getting anything to come out because it wouldn't even accept the word Second Amendment being in my prompt. It just flat out refused to make an image. I'm like, give me a classroom where they're learning about the Second Amendment. Oh, no, we can't do anything with firearms. I'm sorry, we're not going to do that. And so you're really at the mercy of whatever these tech companies want you to be able to do, what they want you to be able to see. Um, and then I kind of took that a step further and thought, so AI is getting integrated more and more with all your technologies. What's to say that it's going to start deleting images that you're going to see from your results? Anything with a firearm in it, even if it's in the background of an image, maybe that just gets hidden away and nobody can find it anymore. Um, or even uh, you're taking a picture with your iPhone sees that there's a gun in the background of that picture, and it just says, "Nope, I'm sorry, I'm not going to take this picture." The more power we give these tech companies, and the more AI integration we bring into that, these are the type of dangers that really can become a reality. It seems like science fiction, but if they get enough power and control, that's absolutely something that AI could do in your personal life. And then another big one is just misinformation. So I'm sure we've all had stories about AI giving incorrect details or falsely accusing people of things. And that is definitely something to take into account. So whenever you're using AI, you always need to double check it. Even if it's something that you've been doing for a while, it can out of the blue come up with complete nonsense. So, you always want to be double checking everything there.